Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's reshaping how enterprises operate across Europe and beyond. We're talking about Agentic AI and multi-agent orchestration, and specifically, how this technology is transforming the landscape in Utrecht heading into 2026. Sam, this isn't your typical chatbot conversation, is it?
Not even close. What's fascinating is that we're seeing a fundamental shift from reactive systems to genuinely autonomous agents. Traditional chatbots sit around waiting for someone to ask them something. Agentic AI systems are goal-driven. They break complex problems into subtasks and solve them independently. That's a completely different ballgame.
So if I'm running a large enterprise right now and hearing this for the first time, why should I care? What's the business case?
The numbers are compelling. Organizations deploying multi-agent systems are seeing 47% reductions in operational costs and 3.2x faster task completion. In customer service specifically, 68% of enterprises report improved satisfaction scores because these agents can handle complex, multi-step resolution without constantly escalating to humans. That's real efficiency gain.
47% cost reduction. That's significant. And I imagine in a place like Utrecht, where there's this emerging tech ecosystem, companies are taking notice. But let's talk about how this actually works. You mentioned a control plane earlier. What is that?
A control plane is essentially the orchestration layer that coordinates multiple specialized agents. Think of it as a conductor managing an orchestra. You might have a customer support agent, a billing agent, an inventory agent, each with their own capabilities and data access. The control plane ensures they collaborate, respect security boundaries, and optimize for your business objectives without stepping on each other's toes.
That sounds architecturally complex. How do you actually build that, especially for enterprises that need to stay compliant with GDPR?
This is where the conversation gets really interesting, and it ties directly into the second major trend we're seeing, the shift towards small language models, or SLMs. Most people assume bigger is always better in AI, but that's completely wrong for enterprise applications right now.
Okay, you've got my attention. Smaller language models over the big ones? That seems counterintuitive.
Counterintuitive, but accurate. 63% of enterprises are now prioritizing SLMs over large foundation models for production deployments. There are three driving factors: privacy, cost, and latency. With SLMs, you're running models locally on your own infrastructure, never exposing proprietary data to third-party APIs. For GDPR compliance, that's gold.
So if I'm a Dutch financial services company worried about data residency, I can deploy an SLM on my own servers and keep everything in-house?
Exactly. And the cost difference is staggering. We're talking about a 70 to 85% reduction in operating costs when you use SLMs versus cloud-based large language model APIs. If you're handling 1,000 support queries monthly, you're looking at 8 to 12 euros per month on SLMs versus 120 to 180 euros on large LLM APIs. That's a tenfold difference.
That's incredible savings. But I'm guessing there's a trade-off here. Smaller models are smaller for a reason, right?
Not really a trade-off if you're smart about deployment. The key is specialization. An SLM fine-tuned for customer support in your specific domain can outperform a massive general-purpose model on that task. You're not trying to build a jack-of-all-trades. You're building an expert for a specific job.
So you mentioned edge deployment and latency. Help me understand the difference there.
Speed matters enormously for customer-facing applications. Cloud-based large language models typically respond in 1 to 3 seconds. Edge-deployed SLMs deliver responses in 200 to 400 milliseconds. That's a 6 to 15-fold improvement. For real-time customer interactions, that's the difference between a fluid conversation and something that feels clunky.
200 milliseconds versus a couple seconds, that changes the user experience dramatically. So how are enterprises actually deploying these systems right now?
There are a few patterns emerging. Pure edge inference means deploying fine-tuned SLMs, typically in the 3 to 7 billion parameter range, directly on enterprise servers or containerized infrastructure. You've got full control, maximum privacy, minimal latency. Then there's the hybrid approach, which is more nuanced.
Walk me through the hybrid approach. I imagine that's what many enterprises would gravitate toward.
With hybrid, you use SLMs to handle the bulk of routine queries, typically 80 to 85% of your volume. Those are the straightforward, predictable interactions your agents have seen 1,000 times. For edge cases, complex reasoning, or situations requiring human judgment, you escalate to larger models or human operators. It's efficient because you're not overpaying for computational power on routine tasks.
That makes sense from both a cost and capability perspective. And with multi-agent orchestration coordinating all of this, you can create pretty sophisticated workflows. Let me ask you this. For someone listening right now who works in an enterprise and is thinking about implementing this, where do they start?
First, audit your current automation challenges. Where are you bleeding money? Where are manual processes slowing you down? Second, evaluate your data landscape and compliance requirements. If you're handling sensitive data, on-premises deployment becomes critical. Third, start with a pilot. Pick one specific use case like customer support or marketing automation and demonstrate value before scaling.
And Utrecht specifically, why is that becoming a hub for this kind of development?
Utrecht sits at the heart of European tech innovation, and there's a real emphasis on GDPR-compliant, cost-efficient solutions. You've got the talent, the regulatory environment that demands privacy-first thinking, and enterprises hungry to deploy this technology responsibly. It's attracting companies building Agentech AI infrastructure from the ground up.
So we're not talking about theoretical future technology. This is happening now in 2026, right? McKinsey reported that 72% of Fortune 500 companies are deploying multi-agent orchestration systems.
That's the statistic that really captures the moment we're in. This isn't early adoption anymore. It's mainstream enterprise technology. The question for companies now isn't whether to adopt Agentic AI, it's how to do it strategically, with proper controls, cost optimization, and alignment with their business objectives.
What about evaluation and testing? I imagine you can't just deploy autonomous agents without robust safeguards.
Absolutely not. Agent evaluation and testing is critical. You need to validate agent behavior across scenarios, ensure they respect guardrails, measure their performance on business metrics, and establish monitoring and feedback loops. Autonomous agents amplify both good decisions and bad ones, so governance is non-negotiable.
That's a really important point. These systems need oversight. Sam, as we wrap up, what's the one thing you'd want someone to take away from this conversation?
Agentic AI with small language models isn't a distant future state. It's operational reality in 2026. The enterprises winning right now are those combining autonomous agents with cost-efficient, privacy-preserving SLM deployments. Start small, measure impact, and scale with governance. The technology is ready. Your job is to implement it smartly.
That's excellent advice. Folks, if you want to dive deeper into this topic, including more technical detail on control planes, agent cost optimization, and deployment architecture, head over to etherlink.ai and find the full article. We've got resources, links, and additional insights there. Sam, thanks for breaking this down.
Always a pleasure, Alex. This is genuinely transformative technology, and I think enterprises that move thoughtfully on it in 2026 will be significantly ahead of the curve.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to EtherLink AI Insights. We'll see you next time.